Hey everyone. Getting to Challenger took a lot of VOD review and effort, not just of my own VODs, but of pro players too. And the best moments were the ones where I learned something that was just game changing and really made sense. So today, I'm going to save you a lot of time and go over the top 3 things I wish I knew about mid when I first started playing. To get things started, we're going to talk about a little trick I learned when I was a Diana 1 trick back in the day. When I got into Diamond, I kept dying to ganks on her when I would push. Pushing is one of Diana's main strengths, so how do I push without dying? It didn't make sense to me. The trick was to push the wave, then just sit outside of vision, whether it be in a brush or just towards your own tower. By pushing the lane, you have the luxury of being able to recall, or the time to go get vision without losing anything. But if you have nothing to do and nowhere to roam, and you're unsure where the enemy jungler is, that's when this trick really comes in handy. A lot of players tend to just stand up on the tower and try to harass, but that's a good way to get killed if you don't know where the enemy jungler is. But I'm sure some of you are thinking, but Skillcap, you've told us in multiple videos to push and harass under tower to put pressure. Yes, this is what you want to do most of the time if you're a winning lane, but to do that, you need to have information. For example, if you see the enemy jungler Zac or Rek'Sai ganking bot, you can wait about 15 seconds after the gank, then ward Raptors and hug topside really hard. This way, if Rek'Sai ganks from bot, you'll have plenty of time to run, and if she ganks from top, your ward will spot her. This is when you want the enemy jungler to gank because you know you can't die to it and you can just waste their time. But by running out of vision after pushing, the enemy jungler doesn't want to gank mid. Think about what they are seeing. They see nobody in mid, so they are thinking about a different lane to gank. They don't want to waste their own time. Alright, moving on to the second thing I wished I knew when I was playing mid, and that's how split pushing or side laning actually works. Most players think they understand how it works, but they don't. Especially because when we get a bunch of questions saying, on this champion, should I split push or group or whatever? It's never going to be that black and white. It just comes down to, is your champion a champion that should be side laning at all in the first place? That's the first thing you need to ask yourself. When we say side laning, that means actually pushing a side lane. Pushing side lanes is very important for pressuring the map, but on certain champions it can be too dangerous, mainly mages like Xerath, Vel'Koz, or Ziggs. Mages like Orianna and Syndra can push if they are really fed, but they still would rather be in mid where they can abuse their wave clear. It's still very dangerous for them to be in the side lane as well. Champions that should be side lane are of course Assassins, Fizz, Diana, Zed, Echo, etc. Now, this is the tricky part. When we say side lane, that gives you 3 options really. You can push the wave with the purpose to group afterwards, because you don't think you can kill anyone in the side lane. So by pushing, you're hoping to bring someone from the enemy team to you, and then as they rotate over, you rotate and group and look for a numbers up fight. Or you can push the wave and camp a brush to look for a pick in the side lane. Basically, you push hoping someone that you can kill will rotate over, then you wait somewhere to cut them off and kill them. Sweeper Trinket is really important for this one. And the last option, which is what most people think side laning is, and that's pushing with the purpose of getting towers. If you don't think you can win team fights, but can maintain pressure in the side lane and get tower damage, that's a viable option in win condition. This is especially true if the enemy laner is someone that really wants to group, for example Zoe. Zoe really likes to group. So if you're playing Diana and constantly pushing bot, Zoe might just end up fighting in mid, and that gives Diana windows to take towers. Something that really helps with understanding split pushing is trading objectives. So a lot of players struggle to split push because their teammates will fight while they're gone. This is sometimes okay, especially if you're playing something like Echo or Diana that takes towers really fast. If your team and the enemy team are ARAMing down mid, and you are staying constantly pushing side lane, you can easily get the same amount of objectives or maybe even more if you don't hesitate and run back and forth trying to decide what to do. If they kill your team and take Baron, you could take 2 bot towers in that time and maybe even an inhibitor. And the best part is, the whole time you are side laning, you're getting a ton of solo farm and experience while everyone else is sharing. This is how a lot of players abuse lower ranks. They get huge leads just side laning and getting so farmed that they can easily hard carry by being so far ahead of everyone else because they've been fighting all game. Something I personally do all the time in lower elos is just straight up ignore dragon. Low elo dragon fights can take so long, I can get a whole level or 2 lead in side lane along with a ton of minion and tower gold while both teams mindlessly fight over the dragon. It works very well. But with that being said, it doesn't mean never fight for dragon. It comes down to the split pushing rules we were talking about earlier. If you go split push while dragon is up, but someone comes to stop you as you're hitting towers, that's fine. Now it's a good time to rotate and win the dragon fight with a man up. The reason why I say this works so well is that in lower elo, players never come to stop me because they are so tunneled on the dragon. That doesn't really happen in high elo. Lastly, one of the main issues in low elo when it comes to split pushing is that you guys will push without seeing what your team is doing. You'll push when your team is resetting or on the way back to lane. By doing this, you have to think what the enemy team can see. They can only see you, so they will all come and kill you. You have to wait for your team to actually be on the map doing things before pushing too far. Alright, moving on to our last tip of the 3. This one I learned from watching a ton of Dopa VODs. It can be really easy to think as a mid laner, you want to be roaming around the map and helping your teammates. If you get them fed, they won't feed and you can win. Well, this is not the way you want to be thinking. If you watch Dopa play, especially on a champion like TF, who is known for being able to impact the map, he will always prioritize his own farm and levels over anything else. He will not use his ult to make a play if it means he's going to miss a ton of farm for it. Why? Because levels are so important in mid lane for multiple reasons. First, levels give a ton of base stats and more points in your abilities. As a mage or assassin, these points gives a ton of extra damage, whereas in ADC, items give more damage because they are more auto attack based. Levels are so important that they alone can tell you who will win a fight 90% of the time. If you are at least 2 levels up on the enemy, it's a safe bet to say you can easily win a 1v1. In higher elo, if the enemy mid is a level up on me, odds are I won't even bother trying to kill them. A good example of how insane levels are is in this clip here where I'm playing LeBlanc. I'm level 10, Lucian's level 7. I'm 6-1, which is decently strong and fed, but even if I was 0-0, this outcome is the same. Being 3 levels over this Lucian's means it's nearly impossible for him to kill me alone, and he is very squishy. If we let the clip play, I actually misplay pretty hard, using Q, R, and not holding my W for his dash. But I hit him with my chain instead to pop my sigil, and it still killed him. If you look, my W is the ability I have most of my points in, and I missed it. But because of my 3 level lead, the base stats alone are enough to make this an easy one shot even while playing it wrong. Now, being ahead in levels doesn't mean you have to get a lead in lane every game. As a solo laner, if you aren't dying a lot and dropping waves, you will naturally have a level lead on a few members on the map. This is especially true in low elo, where people are fighting all the time randomly. These solo kills aren't the main reason levels are so important though. I always knew levels were important. But after playing TF and ulting to a side lane and missing some farm, and dropping 1 level behind the enemy mid, I realized something. If I can't hold my own or pressure the enemy mid, then I'll never be able to make a play on the map without paying for it. So to make this easier to understand, the most optimal play is to get pressure in your lane. For example, as Echo, you push the wave first with your Q, then you can roam because you're not missing anything. But if you're behind, and you get pushed in constantly, it becomes too dangerous to push because you're going to take too much damage, so you can never roam without paying for it. So just one bad roam can make the game much harder. And speaking of Echo, I've watched VODs on the best Echo in the world, and he is just like Dopa where he makes sure to never fall behind in levels. He doesn't drop waves to roam and only roams when he can get pressure. I see way too many low elo players just roam and lose so much experience from it that the gold that they get from a kill or 2 wouldn't even be worth it a lot of the time. So, make sure to really focus on your levels throughout the game. If you find yourself getting behind in a lot of them, go watch your VODs and see why you're dropping levels so you can fix that ASAP. Alright guys, so those are the 3 things I wish I knew when I was climbing the ranks playing mid. Hopefully these tips helped you out and saved you a bunch of VOD review time. But that's going to bring us to the end of this guide. We hope you enjoyed it and thanks for watching.